Howdy, and welcome to Broken Tool Garage. What you're watching here is the finishing up of doing drum brakes on a 97 Dodge pickup. This is part 2, because part 1 was about the disassembly, and it was run a little long, so that's why I split it into 2 videos. Now this one is a little bit longer video than what I usually make, but I really didn't want to split this whole thing into 3 or 4 videos. So this is going to cover how to install the brakes, the drum brakes, and how to bleed the drum brakes as well. Alright, well, I would say let's get started, but I've already started, so let's continue and finish this. Okay, I picked up some tools. I got this style, the little brake retaining spring, and then I got me another one of these small adjustable wrenches. I wanted one just a little bit smaller than that, but I couldn't find the one that I had before. Also got my book out. Now this isn't for specifically this truck. This is the 74 to 93. But it gives me some good ideas on the basics of how drum brakes go together. So it's real similar. And of course, I took the video and pictures as well, so that'll help me on putting this back together. All right, well, I need to get back at it. Okay, so I got those on, and they went on pretty easy. This one here, I put it on, I just, pushed it in, and it torqued in fine, but I know it's not in actual position either. This one here, I couldn't do it by hand, so I used this tool, and right now it worked pretty good. So I need to look at what the next step is to start assembling this. Got to scoot up a little bit. So it's roughly in place. I think at some point I'm probably going to need to take the bleeder out of the back so that the pistons in here can move in, and I can actually get everything to come together and work on that. So yeah, anyways, I was surprised they like went right on. So I might be doing something wrong. Might be undoing this here in a minute. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it all apart and try again. Because right now it's just simply not lining up. Even if I did get the springs on, it's all crooked and cattywampus, right? I think that's a word, cattywampus. So this is the other side. Now I can see where this goes. This is a leading, that's a trailing. I can see how all the hardware goes in. Between that and my book, I can figure out how it all goes back on there. Ugh. Looks a little nasty in there. Looks like it's like from 97 or something. Okay, it's in here a little bit better. The problem was this piece right here, the little emergency brake that goes through this brake shoe, it wasn't fully seating in there. It's got a little hook, and it wasn't hooking in there good, so it was making everything all messed up and sitting there crooked. The other thing, where I come down here, I'll have to lower you down. There. What I did to get this piece in, there's that spring back there. I actually put the spring in first, so I wasn't trying to pull the spring over. And then when I put this in, I put it on that side and just pulled it that way, and then popped it in place there. It was so much easier instead of trying to put this in and then trying to get the spring to go over there and hook up. And my little cross piece right here is sitting good and square now. So keep going at it. I'm going to make sure, since I've lost a lot of fluid, on top the brake fluid off, because I'll need to take the bleeder back here and undo it so that these pistons right here can squish in, and then I can continue assembling this. Okay, I'm looking pretty good. I've looked at my springs. Now, I'm just going to point this out. It's invaluable to not take apart the other side. I have the drum off the other side so I can look at this and see how it is together and working. So do yourself a favor and don't just tear everything apart. Do one side at a time. The springs, there's a short one and there's a long one. Now mine was red that I took off here, but just in case I didn't paint the colors right, I made sure to double check. The long one goes to the side without this, the little bracket, the bracket here and this rod. It goes on the opposite side, and then the short one goes on that side there. Alright. So that's what I'm about to wrestle with. Okay, the orange spring is on. That's the long spring. It didn't look real pretty going on, and I just didn't know how long it was going to take me to do it, or else I would have recorded it. Alright, what I used was this tool here. It's got that groove in it right there. I put that groove on the little stud up here, like that. And I wrapped the spring. I got the spring in behind it and basically forced the spring up and around over, because I'll have enough leverage to do that, and then popped it in place. I was trying to use the hook right here and just manually pull it, and that's putting my body weight and everything into it, and I couldn't get the reach around there. So like that, I have more leverage. And I got it in, and this part, actually this is a good pointer. My little foot right here, it was all cattywampus up at an angle like that, and it's all out of position. So I had to come in behind here like that and kind of pry it and take my hammer, my dead blow, and hit it and beat it into place. And it looks pretty good. I got the other spring here to go in, and after that, it's any adjustments that I got to do, but everything's lining up good now. So.
Mother boxer.
Okay, so that went easy. That's not how this whole thing has been. Anyways, well, this is still popped up high there, so I'm going to have to knock it down. Almost in place. Let's come down just a little bit more. I wonder if that piece will aid me in my plight to get. Oh, I just undid everything. That's pretty much how this has gone the whole time. So I just got to get this prized over. That side popped out. Anyways, this is what you get to look forward to if you do your own brakes on one of these. I would highly recommend that you just take it to someone if you can do that. And then video them with the frustration and pulling their hair out. Okay, it's in. I just need to do my bleeder screws a little loose. I back it off, that way it's easy for the pistons to go in and out. So I just need to do my adjustment right here, which will just be using these to turn it the correct direction. No easy way of doing it, you just got to get in there and do it. Once this gets adjusted, excuse me, once this gets adjusted, everything will kind of hold itself in place a little better. Anyways, yeah, unless you just want to see me doing this, I'm going to pause you, and then whenever I get it closer, I'll show you where it's at. Still need to clean my drum up from all the brake fluid, and what I'll do is I'll adjust this until it fits kind of snug. And with the auto adjuster, the emergency brake, if it works correctly, I should be able to use that a couple times and expand it all out, right? Alright, I got the adjustment where I want it. Final thing, I'll come in and clean the brake shoes off with brake clean. Still wearing goggles. I don't trust springs, and brake clean will definitely shoot right for your eyeballs. Ew. Alright, that is that. I'll let that, make sure it airs out. It's a little cold in the shop. It's 29 outside today. So it's about 40 something in the shop, so it's going to take a little longer for that brake clean to evaporate. So I'm going to go take a break, come back, put the drum on, and then go through the bleeding process. Bleeding process being the truck, not me, hopefully. Alright, for the next stage, it's going to be bleeding the brakes. So that means whenever you open up the brake system, it's a sealed system, it's a pressurized system, and air compresses. So if you get air in your brake system, you can get the spongy brake, and they just don't work real good, right? So bleeding the brakes is bleeding all the air out of the system, so it's just fluid in there, which doesn't compress for all intensive purposes. It doesn't compress, and then your brakes work correctly. So that's what I'm about to go do next. I have a tool that I'm going to be using, and that's the vacuum brake bleeder. I'll show you that right here. So I just got one of the cheap kits, and just seeing how they work. I usually don't use the vacuum bleeder. I'll use the little one-person bleeder, or I'll use the just a two-person method. So what I got here is the bleeder kit. It's got the pump on it, little gauge, so that way you know what you got going on with there, that you actually have a bleeding. So have a bleeding, yeah. It's automotive. If you work much on this, you will bleed. So I have all the little bits and pieces that go on here, and this will hook up, hose it to it. The hose connects to the brake bleeder valve right there, the little thing that you unscrew. I'm going to leave the top of the master cylinder off and just pump it up, and what will happen is when I do vacuum, this container will fill up, and I can see when the air comes out. And also it's a good way to change your fluid. If you got old nasty fluid and you want to put good fluid in, you can do the same thing. So I'm going to be over here on the rear of the vehicle where I did that slave cylinder or wheel cylinder, and that's the one you want to start out with because it's furthest from the master cylinder. because the master cylinder is over there on the driver's side. So given that's the furthest one away, that's the one I'm going to start with. And I'll show you how this all goes together. It's got a lot of little bits and pieces to it, but I'll pick them apart and put them in there and show you kind of what the process is. Okay, here's the setup. First thing is to figure out which one of these little caps right here fits over your bleeder valve. So mine is this one. I'm going to grab one of the other ones so I'll show you. Alright. So what we're going to do is, if you look at your bleeder valve, right here, if you look at your bleeder valve, you find which cap fits it. This one's too big. Mine just happened to be the small one out of the package. And what we're going to do is we'll run this back just a little bit, put the cap on there, and then we'll have the line hooked up like what you saw a second ago, going all the way down here to the cup. Then the cup is connected to the pump. Now the cup has a little line, you can see that right there, a line so that that's where the brake fluid is going to come out, so that don't just suck it back up into the pump. Now I'm going to test my system here by, I'm going to put my thumb over there, and we're going to look at the gauge right here, right? Alright, we see it's pulling vacuum, holding vacuum. That means it's sealed up, and it should work. Find out here in a minute. Okay, so I've got my wrench. Mine's a 5/16. I'm going to figure out where to set you up at so you can see what's going on, and we'll get started. Not really holding a good vacuum here. I don't know where my leak is. That cap may not fit over that super good. So it might just come in and... Okay. I know I probably had my head in the way a whole bunch. I decided not to use the little cap. I don't think it's getting a good seal. Oh, there's just a bunch of air in this system, I think. That, or I'm not getting a good seal. Okay, I got it bled, but I did have an issue. You know, of course, the cap didn't seal very good, and this hose actually did not seal good. So when I had it up against my bleeder here, I actually had to push up against it real good while I was pumping it up, because I kept getting air coming through, and I noticed I locked the bleeder off and then stuck that on there, and I was still getting a bleed down and sucking air through. That's how I figured that out. Because with the bleeder locked, it shouldn't have any airflow. So it just wasn't sealing up good. And, you know, I bought the cheap kit, so. But it got me there. It's bled. You can see, well, maybe you can't see, but I have good clean fluid coming out, and the nasty fluid is down in the pan. So this is locked off, and I use an actual socket on there to lock it off. What you do when you got the hose on there, when it works right, is you keep bleeding it until you don't get any air, and then you take a wrench and lock this off, then you unhook it and it won't suck air back in, and you come in and do a final torque on it. But I'm pretty confident of that. Get you all pulled out of here. So there it is. That's the cheap one. I don't know if the more expensive ones do any better. And that, you know, all I got to do is just buy, you know, some better hose. It's probably all that is right there. Figure out what size I need and do that right there. Alright, so what you just watched, if you watched the whole thing or maybe just read the title and you click skip to get to this moment, is on this 97 Dodge truck, I replaced the rear brake shoes and the wheel cylinder on there because it was leaking real bad and it wasn't working. And then I also went through and showed you how to use a vacuum bleeder on a brake setup. So you can use that on multiple things. And like I said before, unless you just really like doing drum brakes, take it to someone. This was a complete pain to do. So if you like what you see, make sure to hit that like, hit subscribe, make sure to share this so other people can see this content as well, right? I'll see you next time on Broken Tool Garage.